Hello, it's Veronica here, and I just want to talk about something really quick. I'm sure we all know how the Monster High Generation 3 show hasn't been greenlit for a third season yet. And all that speculation about how it could be ending. And while it really hurts to see this happen to a rebrand with so much potential that wasn't even done with what it was doing yet, because there are so many characters that were not made into dolls. These are just some of them that I have that don't have like the haircut or something like that on them, but it's like but yeah, I want to talk about G3 real quick and what I think may have affected it. I'm sure if you've been anywhere on the internet, you've heard of the whole like controversy with Nickelodeon about the Quiet on Set documentary about Dan Schneider. This documentary revealed not so good things about Dan Schneider and in some of the work he did on Nickelodeon. And it kind of affected Nickelodeon's publicity in not so good ways. And we know it even got them in trouble with like Paramount or something like that. I mean, I don't know the full story, but that's just what I've heard going around the doll community. And watching other people's videos on this, and Mattel partnered with Nickelodeon to produce the show for Monster High Generation 3. They specifically partner with them. And so I'm pretty sure Nickelodeon also owns at least some of the assets for the animation from this show. So while Monster High has their own 3D models they've been using in the music videos more directly based on the dolls, and they also have like 2D models they've been doing in these animated shorts on their YouTube channel, I don't think they have like full ownership of the 3D models from the Nickelodeon show, which would limit their ability to make more of the show. Even if they were to continue it by like making the show with a different animation studio, which would definitely be an interesting choice if they did that. And another thing that partnering with like Nickelodeon did back in Gen 1, Monster High didn't have a full-on partnership with any other like big studio or something. They were just doing most of the show in 2D on their YouTube channel as webisodes. So everyone had access to them. Everyone was able to watch them. And because of that, people were able to get into Monster High and bond with the characters. And it's part of why the Monster High community is as big as it is. It's why the brand's message of be yourself, be unique, be a monster is as famous as it is. Because people were able to access the show and watch it and enjoy it. But with Gen 3, I'm sure you've noticed how many times people have had to Google how to watch this show. Or like do research on like what platforms and stuff that you could even watch it on. because you don't see it being promoted that much on anything other than Nickelodeon. Like, you know how, like, Rainbow High will have, like, something referenced on the boxes that references that there's a YouTube channel connected to the doll line? Well, Monster High doesn't do that. And I feel like most people who even know about the show are adult collectors or people who grew up with Gen 1 who are aware that Gen 3 has an animated show. And the lengths that people have come to watch this show. Some of them have included pirating the episodes. And I live in the US, so the options that I have come across for how to watch the show are either buy it on Amazon Prime for like $2 or $3 per episode or something, buy the DVDs when they come out, or get like Paramount Plus or like HBO Max or whichever streaming service the movies is on those live action movies are on, and watch them on there. But the thing is, most people aren't going to buy a streaming service just to watch a show. And there's also something significant that has happened in people's tendencies to watch television: the death of cable. So people are often choosing streaming services over cable specifically. They are basically getting rid of cable and only watching streaming services. And this trend reduces the audience for the show significantly. Because there are some people who feel like cable is just too expensive nowadays, and that streaming is just easier to watch. And thus, not everybody has Nickelodeon on cable anymore. So this really restricts its audience in a way. And it shuts out people who opted to get rid of cable. To say I didn't facepalm when Mattel made this kind of decision to release the show is an understatement. I grew up with Gen 1 and Gen 2 when you could go on YouTube, watch the episodes and the webisodes and all that, and then you could go on Amazon to just rent the movies normally without having to subscribe to a streaming service to access them, and it was fine. It was normal. But with Gen 3, you need to be subscribed to X streaming service, have like Nickelodeon on cable or whatever. And it's like, it's unfair. It's very unfair for a lot of people. So, if the show's ratings are suffering because of that, I am not surprised. Mattel chose to make that decision to partner with Nickelodeon. And I know I may have mentioned this in like the occasional earlier video on my channel about Gen 3 and my disappointment with it, but if a lot of people can't access the show, then that kind of distribution of it is terrible. And Mattel should have done better. They should have released the DVDs earlier too. Because a lot of people could not watch the show until that DVD of the first season came out. And it's just, that is embarrassing. Especially for a big company like Mattel. Because with Barbie, you could just watch the newer stuff for it on Netflix. You could rent the movies normally. There's no problem with the distribution of media for that franchise. But Monster High, even the comic book series, and that one novel aimed at Generation 1 fans are more accessible than the Generation 3 animated show. Like, what gives? And I'm sorry if that turned into a little rant, but that one issue with the line had been kind of plaguing my perception of it. While from a doll perspective, the dolls are beautiful and gorgeous, and you see plenty of commercials on YouTube come up for them. You don't see that kind of promotion for the show. And if Mattel was hoping to use the show to market the dolls, I feel like it's more like the dolls are marketing the show of all things. Like, because more people know about the dolls than the show. But Mattel doing this and having a poor distribution of the show is their own fault. They did that. They were ones who partnered with Nickelodeon during the death of cable, and if the Gen 3 show does end because of this, I blame Mattel. I don't blame the fans for not supporting it enough, because I feel like those who could watch it legally did. But yeah, if people are having trouble finding your show or a way to watch it, that's a major problem. So goodbye, mysterious audience. I love you, and we love you. And I guess that was a quick rant about why I think Monster High Generation 3 failed the way it did, and why I am not surprised by it, especially on the part of the poor lack of promotion and accessibility for the show.